The movie begins with a young couple named Pippa and Thomas, who have recently moved into their first apartment in Montreal. Pippa expresses her desire to hold off on having children so they can enjoy their youthful years and embrace their rebellious side. Thomas happily agrees with Pippa's decision, and they raise their glasses to celebrate making wonderful choices. As they embrace and share a kiss, their attention is drawn to bright flashing lights across the street. They discover that their neighbors are engaged in a photo shoot. Intrigued, Pippa and Thomas curiously observe their neighbors, who eventually start kissing passionately. This piques their interest, and they saw the two people move to the kitchen and start making love. Afterward, Pippa expresses her concern that they are acting like creepy weirdos and suggests that they should respect their neighbor's privacy. Wanting to ignite their own passion, Pippa adorns sexy lingerie and puts on perfume, hoping for a romantic encounter. However, her hopes are dashed as she discovers that Thomas has fallen asleep. Disappointed, Pippa lies in bed with a forlorn expression, realizing that their plans didn't unfold as expected. The next day, Pippa heads to work with her best friend Ari. She works as a trainee optometrist at l'Optique, a local company. Pippa confides in Ari about the previous night's events, mentioning how they had inadvertently witnessed an intimate moment between a stunning couple in a neighboring building. Pippa expresses her guilt about spying on them, but Ari suggests that the couple might be exhibitionists and watching them could actually be considered polite. Afterward, Dr. Sato pays a visit to Pippa's office and presents her with a Japanese bird feeder as a housewarming gift for her new apartment. Later that day, Pippa hangs up the bird feeder, and both Pippa and Thomas find themselves drawn to the window to observe their neighbors. Thomas expresses his desire to befriend the mysterious couple who has captured their curiosity. Pippa playfully suggests the names Margot and Brent for the couple, eliciting a light-hearted moment between them. The next day, while passing by an antique store, Pippa spots a pair of binoculars that she purchases to enhance her view of the couple. Back at home, Pippa and Thomas eagerly put the binoculars to use, observing as Brent photographs a beautiful topless model. Things take a flirtatious turn between Brent and the model, captivating Pippa's attention as she undresses Thomas and they engage in their own intimate encounter. During brunch the following day, Pippa, Thomas, Arya, and Thomas's younger sister, Junie, gather together. Junie speculates that Margot is Brent's wife and that Brent cheated on her while she was out of town. Arya suggests that the couple might have an open relationship or be swingers due to Brent's hedonistic lifestyle. Pippa expresses her curiosity about what Brent and Margot might be saying during their intimate moments. Junie then reveals that back in college, Thomas had discovered a way to eavesdrop on conversations in another room using a long-range microphones and laser pointer. Following their conversation about eavesdropping, Thomas enlightens Pippa about a peculiar phenomenon involving a large picture window. He explains that when a noise is made near the window, it vibrates. Furthermore, if a laser is shown through the window and the vibration pattern is captured, it can be translated into waveforms, allowing them to listen to the actual sounds from the other room. Intrigued by this idea, Thomas and Pippa devise a plan to sneak into Brent and Margot's apartment during their Halloween party that night. Dressed in their costumes, Pippa and Thomas attend the Halloween party with a hidden mission, to discreetly place a mirror in Brent and Margot's apartment. At the party, Pippa signals Thomas to create a diversion while she swiftly attaches a piece of gum to the back of the mirror and carefully positions it on a statue. Back at their own apartment, Pippa and Thomas set up the laser pointer, with Thomas meticulously shining it into the neighboring apartment, guided by Pippa. It doesn't take them long to locate the mirror, and Thomas successfully aims the laser pointer directly at it. Realizing that they now need to find the reflective laser bouncing off the mirror, Pippa devises a clever plan. She grabs chalk erasers and collects chalk from the blackboard. Clapping the erasers together, she creates a light fog in the air, which reveals the path of the laser pointer. With the laser's path exposed, Thomas begins working on his audio-digital mixer to balance the waveforms. With a few adjustments and minor tweaks, the sound of Margot and Brent's conversation starts playing through the speakers. As the sound becomes clearer, Margot can be heard confronting Brent about his infidelity, accusing him of cheating with another woman at the party. However, Brent vehemently denies any involvement with the woman at the party and asserts that Margot fabricates lies, accusing him of cheating in an attempt to end their relationship. Brent goes along with the situation to persuade Margot that her suspicions are unfounded. The following day, Margot coincidentally spots Pippa at her workplace while sitting in her office. Pippa is called over to the front desk by the receptionist, where she is greeted by Margot, who seeks assistance in finding new glasses. The two formally introduce themselves, shaking hands. As Margot is leaving, she pauses and invites Pippa to grab a cup of coffee or visit the spa whenever she is available. Pippa happily accepts the invitation and provides Margot with her contact number. Later, Pippa tells Thomas about meeting Margot at her job. It is later revealed that Margot's actual name is Julia. Pippa expresses her desire to warn Julia about Brent's infidelity, but Thomas becomes infuriated. He insists that it is none of Pippa's business and that Julia does not need saving. Angry, Thomas grabs his coat and heads to the bar across the street. Over time, Pippa becomes increasingly fixated on Julia and Sebastian's relationship, continuously spying on the couple and harboring the secret she wants to reveal to Julia. She is left to dwell alone in her obsessive habit, unsupported by Thomas, who completely disregards spying on Sebastian and Julia. One day, while spying on Sebastian, Pippa witnesses him engaging in sexual activity with two women while Margot is away. She also observes Sebastian disposing of a used condom in the bathroom trash can. Later that night, Pippa discovers how to access Julia and Sebastian's wireless printer. She anonymously sends messages to expose Sebastian's infidelity. Julia reads the first message but quickly crumples it up and throws it away. Undeterred, Pippa sends another message, this time revealing the discarded condom. Pippa anxiously watches as Julia discovers the message being printed unexpectedly. Suddenly, Thomas appears and startles Pippa, inquiring about the situation. Together, they observe Julia finding the used condom in the bathroom trash can. After that, consumed by anger and the discovery of the condom, Julia storms to the kitchen and grabs a sharp knife. With determination, she makes her way to the bedroom where Sebastian is sleeping. Standing over him with the knife, she lunges it down but hesitates midway, unable to bring herself to stab him. In a state of exasperation, Thomas angrily snatches the binoculars from Pippa's hands and throws them to the ground. The following day, Pippa apologizes to Thomas and assures him that she will dispose of the binoculars and never have contact with Julia again. Thomas accepts her apology, and as they embrace, a horrifying realization strikes Pippa. Hastily, she retrieves the broken binoculars and witnesses the devastating scene. Sebastian has discovered Julia's lifeless body, covered in blood. It appears that Julia fatally wounded herself the previous night. Overwhelmed by the gravity of what Pippa has unintentionally caused, Thomas swiftly gathers his belongings and informs Pippa that he can no longer be with her. Pippa, desperate and confused, expresses her helplessness in the situation, but Thomas responds with furious resignation, emphasizing that Julia's death is a consequence of Pippa's actions. He grabs his coat and declares their relationship officially over. Despite the tragic outcome, Pippa continues to spy on Sebastian, unable to let go of her obsession. She watches as he vents his anger by hurling a bottle against the wall. In a moment of determination, Pippa decides to follow Sebastian to the local bar across the street. They engage in a conversation, and Sebastian asks if he can take a few photos of Pippa. Intrigued, they leave the bar together and head to his apartment. Once inside, Sebastian offers Pippa a glass of wine and begins photographing her. Eventually, he asks her to undress, and Pippa complies without much resistance. Sebastian undresses as well, and they share a passionate kiss. Succumbing to temptation, Pippa gives in. And the two engage in a deeply immoral act of infidelity. Thomas approaches the building carrying a bouquet of flowers, hoping to reconcile with Pippa. He takes a sip of a drink that disappoints him, discards it, and notices two people engaging in sexual activity inside Sebastian's apartment. Curiosity gets the better of him, and he grabs the binoculars to get a closer look. His heart shatters when he realizes it's Pippa who is with Sebastian. The following day, Pippa returns home, only to be horrified by the sight of Thomas's lifeless body. It appears that he took his own life the previous night. In her anguish, Pippa confides in her friend Ari, expressing her guilt over causing both Thomas's and Julia's deaths. Ari reassures her that she is still a good person, even if she doesn't feel that way in the moment. Pippa questions herself, wondering why she still has the urge to see Sebastian again if she is truly a good person. Yearning for closure, Pippa expresses her desire to see Sebastian one last time, hoping it will help her move on. Together, Pippa and Ari decide to attend Sebastian's opening night. To Pippa's astonishment, Sebastian takes the stage and introduces Julia, who is very much alive. Baffled and confused, Pippa and the audience soon realize that the entire exhibition is centered around Thomas and Pippa's obsession with Sebastian and Julia. As more pictures are unveiled, Sebastian reveals that Thomas and Pippa became more invested in their lives than their own. The exhibition serves as a reminder of how their obsession tore them apart emotionally, and ultimately, tore them apart forever. After the shocking betrayal, Pippa breaks into Julia and Sebastian's apartment and discovers a hidden room filled with pictures and surveillance equipment, revealing that Sebastian and Julia had been spying on them all along. Overwhelmed by everything that has transpired, Pippa decides to move out of her building. Pippa goes to remove the dark liquid that Thomas had placed in the bird feeder and notices dead birds on the grate below the window. Suddenly, she looks up to see Julia standing there, waving at her, intensifying Pippa's suspicions. Another day, when Sebastian and Julia return home, they find an anonymous gift of a bottle of wine. They drink the wine, and moments later, receive a message on their printer from Pippa. In the message, Pippa reveals that she knows Thomas didn't commit suicide and accuses Sebastian and Julia of being responsible for his death. Sebastian grabs his camera and spots Pippa on the rooftop across the street. However, Pippa quickly escapes with her laptop, leading them on a chase through the streets. Eventually, they corner Pippa, but she frightens them by disclosing that she knows Julia poisoned the drink that caused Thomas's death. As Julia begins to speak, she becomes disoriented and collapses unconscious. Sebastian also experiences dizziness. Pippa confesses that she spiked the bottle of wine they drank, causing them both to faint. Pippa instructs Sebastian to take a final look at her face before she proceeds to place Julia and Sebastian under the exhaust fan and burns their eyes, ensuring they are blinded permanently. In the movie's closing scenes, a new couple moves into Thomas and Pippa's former apartment. They witness Julia and Sebastian standing by the window, but the couple is now blind, courtesy of Pippa's revenge. Pippa watches them from a distance, setting aside the broken binoculars and walking away, content with having destroyed their lives and ensuring they will never spy on innocent neighbors again. Thank you for watching. Subscribe and like for more videos like this.